Any luck? Do we get
I
some
don't know.
get
No.
some love? No love? No love? It looks like there's some love. Hold on. I got it now.
Yes.
I see what's up.
Wait.
I see what's up. You should have it. You guys hear
No.
me? You should have it. You definitely should have it. And if you don't have it then, you should definitely have it now. Yeah, all right. Got that is unbelievable. I didn't think I was going to be able to save that one. I really didn't think I was going to be able to save that one. Okay, hey, so when tech guys have tech problems, this is our newest, bestest conversation to have in the world. I'm not 100% sure why that just went tilt, but I'll tell you what the issue was and how I solved it. So that's kind of interesting. I'm using a thing called OBS, and we're going out into Restream. And Restream is awesome because it puts us, at the moment, it puts us on Twitch, Facebook, LinkedIn, Periscope, and YouTube. And I see 54 of you on YouTube, so that was incredibly embarrassing. I'm very excited to know that we had no audio. So what happens here is I've got a pencil condenser mic above my head. Looks like this. Usually you wear headphones and whatever, and I'm going into a digital audio interface. And the digital audio interface that I'm going into actually is also a speaker monitor. It's a Mackie Big Knob, for those of you who know what that is. I've got a couple of big speakers here. I don't need to hear anything right now. I just need to hear me. I don't need to hear anybody. I'm not wearing headphones, and there's no guests today. So other than wanting to play an occasional, throwback to a time past kind of thing, where I'm going to just throw a little music or a sound effect in there, I don't have to hear anything. So we set up desktop audio, and desktop audio was set up to play Anthem, which is a song I wrote about, oh my goodness, a solid 20 years ago, a little more actually, 22 years ago. I wrote it as a 40th birthday present to myself, and it was actually commissioned by the Philip Morris company for a dance company called the Parsons Dance Company, and I composed it, and I conducted the London Symphony Orchestra for that recording. That was super fun. So I took that WAV file and I threw it in for desktop audio and had it wired. And in order to talk to Joey on Discord just before we started, I muted this microphone, but I only muted it in one place. However, for reasons that I now really do not understand, muting it and unmuting it, I saw the audio, saw the VU meter, saw everything working, but you guys weren't hearing it, and the interface had switched. There's two sides to the house. There's a 1-2 and there's a 3-4, and somehow, obviously user error, I didn't notice that I had switched that. So, wow, that was problematic. But anyway, we're back. We're up. What I was talking about when I got here originally was that I'm back in New York. I'm back home in New York, and I'm very happy to be here. It has been a crazy, crazy, crazy couple of months. We were up in Connecticut for, since March, and just back in New York once in a while. But I'm really back in New York now, at least through Thanksgiving. So we'll be setting up here. I've got a new standing desk that's on its way. It is not here yet. I'm obviously sitting. For those of you who are new, I apologize for the audio. It's it's a little bit more human than normal for me to screw up on a regular basis. The good news is I made mistakes last week too, which were extraordinarily big. This week, I only made one little mistake, which I actually was able to fix, so I'm feeling happy about that. Did get a second camera set up today. Here's camera 2, hi camera 2. This is the rig I'm using today. It's a BenQ monitor, 4K monitor, unlike my Samsung monitor up in Connecticut. I got my MacBook sitting here, which is the normal computer that I normally use every day. And to my left is the Windows box that I've been playing with and tweaking every single day now for the last 4 or 5 weeks, where I've been trying to get serious about streaming on a regular basis. Now, this is technically a gaming computer. This is what gamers use. It's very full-featured. We'll talk about what's in there a little bit later. But anyways, happy to get camera 2 and camera 1 going, and I was happy to come up with a way to do like a fairly decent picks and picks, which, works for me. So I'm feeling like we've got a little bit of the kit set up, not quite as well as it will be set up. The lighting is about as good as I could get it here. And I cleaned my room a little bit for you guys. So welcome, everybody. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Shelly Palmer. I'm a tech consultant out of New York City now. And we do tech strategy and solutions for big brands and big tech. So let's just do a quick check here. Let's see who's here. Wow. all of these people. Allie, thank you. You have no audio still. We should have audio. Does everybody have audio? Please raise your hand if you have audio. Rob Katz, hey. Kathy Aronson, how are you? Voila, lights and action. Yeah, that's us. We're here. Let's see, who else is here? Jeff Ratner's here, and Dean Jansen's here, and Peter Capolino is here. Unbelievable. Hey, Peter Capolino. Andy Marks, yay. Frank Quinn, fantastic. So many people from so many places around the world. Nigeria, wow, welcome. And Arlie Barstow, hey, thank you. Thanks, everybody, for being here. So, if you are not a member of pgx.tech, which I will throw in the chat. Actually, Joey, can you just put all of our links in a row in the chat for us? Yes. Joey's about to throw a bunch of links into the chat. You can join. If you're here, we already love you. And if you're not a member of pgx.tech, it's a private social network that we started mid-February. Has just under 3,000 members, 2,900 and something this morning. So if you are listening now, you're probably exactly the kind of person we'd love to have with us at pgx.tech. It's pretty high-level discourse. We talk about technology, media, entertainment, marketing, and you are welcome to join that conversation. There are plenty of topics and great people there every day talking about all kinds of super interesting stuff. So I hope you'll take advantage. The link will be the first link Joey put in there, and you will join us at pgx.tech. It's a great conversation happen there every day. This is, of course, the Strategy Hacker live stream. Strategy Hacker is a hashtag we've adopted over the last few months, and it seems to be catching on about this much. I've got my Serious Strategy Hacker t-shirt on. I have several of them. I wear them every day. At some point, I will make them available. I had a couple of them made, actually half a dozen made, and I'm kind of excited about this idea of strategy hacking. And that's what we're going to be doing here today and every Wednesday going forward. Strategy hacking, in my mind, really is just a way to think about the universe the way a strategic planner or a strategic thinker would think, and then turn those thoughts into action, right? You can think strategically, but then you have to be able to tactically execute, because thinking it up is only part of the problem, part of the solution. If you want to talk to me, you can either reach out on Twitter at Shelly Palmer. You can DM me, or of course you can always email me, shelly@shellypalmer.com. We do a bunch of courses. We've been talking. This was our digital skills workshop, and that was a kind of a very large Zoom, and it was great. Everybody liked it. Everybody likes it, but it needed to evolve. It was very hard to look at. You can only see 49 people on a screen in Zoom at a time, and while it's wonderful to get that audience feedback. Hey, Bob, how are you? Hey, Michael Smullins, how are you? Jeff Ratner again? Yeah. Thank you. So, yeah, it was hard to see the second screen and to be bopping back and forth. And then you really can't take questions, and people are staring in the camera, and some people are wanting to be engaged and some people aren't. And I thought there has to be a better way, and there is a better way. And we've sort of found it here. So we're going to try going forward to work here in this construct. I think you will like it. You can go to courses.shellypalmer.com. There is a ton of free downloads there. We also have some courses you can get. We'll be loading this up over the next 4 or 5 weeks. We've got a ton of content in the works. What's there now is a brand playbook generator course and a way to think about your life plan, which right now I think all of us need to think about. But there's some cool stuff there too that's free. How we do a SWOT analysis is there. How we do mission, vision, values is there. We've got a download there that's free that is the very famous P&G memo. One of my favorite ways to just communicate anything or prep anything to sell. So you can visit courses.shellypalmer.com and you'll find some things to do. There's a couple free ebooks that are downloadable there too, so please help yourself. Again, Strategy Hacker is the hashtag we'd like you to use if you can. And if not, I'm going to fully understand, and I'm still going to love everybody who's here. So what I want to do today, I guess I should do another like semi-shameless plug. Not super hardcore, but so shellypalmer.com. I don't talk about the website very much. I almost never talk about it actually, but at the bottom of shellypalmer.com, we have a subscribe button, and there are just tens and tens and tens of thousands of people who get our email every day. Every morning I write a rant. It's a whatever my take on the news is on a given day. And if you're interested in technology, media, entertainment, marketing, you will find that we cover the stories we think are most important. And I will ordinarily, in my normal, polite, calm, non-snarky way, comment on the day's news stories. So you can, hopefully, enjoy shellypalmer.com as a blog, or if you're so inclined, you can go there, and we do offer a free email every single day. On Saturdays, we put out what do I call it? I call it AI and Machine Learning Weekend Reading. I take the stories of the week that are most interesting to me in artificial intelligence, machine learning, and all of the associated technologies, and I put them in a non-snarky Frank, because that's I never try to be that snarky much. So also, while we're just talking about things we do here while people are logging in, we do these online networking salons every day, Monday through Thursday. We do them at 11:05 and we do them at 11:35, and they're 15 minutes long. You can go to shellypalmer.com/salons, or on the homepage, it's just the upper furthest thing on the nav bar. It says salons. You're absolutely welcome to join. We've got on Mondays and Tuesdays, we have, I don't know if you can see this very clearly, but Monday it's education, tech, and digital transformation. And then on Tuesday, we do AI and machine learning as a topic. Digital leadership on Tuesday in the late session. On Wednesday, we do health and wellness, which we did today, and 5G and connectivity, always a lively discussion. And then tomorrow, every Thursday, we do media and entertainment tech, and we do advertising and marketing. So those topics are covered only in the most superficial way. People will say what they want to say. But the most important thing about our salons is that people get together. So what we've tried to do is mimic this idea of serendipity. So how do you bump into somebody? How do you hang out with somebody? How do you meet your old friend? What is an online water cooler in 2020 in the age of COVID? So we're doing our best to try and make that work. And if you would be kind enough to come, it's free of charge. Of course, you'll meet some new people. You'll bump into old friends. You will absolutely learn something, and you will absolutely teach something. It's that kind of environment. 15 minutes out of your day, boom, boom, nobody gets hurt, in and out. It's really fun. Some days the conversations are not so interesting. Other days, like today, they are riveting. Sometimes they're contentious. You never know what you're going to see. You never know what's going to happen, just like real life. So that's kind of fun. What do I want to do today? Today, I think I want to talk a little bit about the news, because the news has been busy. It's been very, very busy. The big news story today, the story that I think has my absolute undivided attention, is the DOJ going after Google for antitrust. Don Levine, how are you? Welcome. Tori, hey, how are you? I think it's instructive. How many of you remember the Microsoft case from 1998? You can just answer in chat, if you will. I'd love to know how many of you remember when the DOJ went after Microsoft hard. And does anybody remember what it was about? They were trying to separate Windows Explorer from File Explorer. Hey, Matt Quint, how are you? Matthew, good to see you. Jeff Ratner nodding. Yes, hey, Ken Gold. So it was amazing to me back then, because Windows was a pretty secure system, and while there were plenty of hackers back then, and they were nowhere near as romanticized as they are now, nor were they as vicious, because there wasn't as many things to be vicious about back then. A lot of corporate espionage, a lot of government stuff, but there just wasn't enough digital stuff in the world to make a living hacking, to be fair. Microsoft had the File Explorer, and if you remember all the way back to Windows 95, You would type a file name inside what we would now call a browser bar, but then was a file window, and it would go and try to figure out what you were looking for. It was not bad. They had just gotten to the point where you could put a URL in that same, what we would now call a browser bar, the file bar, and you'd get to a website. And so this idea of Windows Explorer versus File Explorer, the two Microsoft terms of art for what those were, had kind of overlapped. And now a nascent Netscape and no browser needed, no third party anything needed. The operating system completely controlled your experience. To be fair, it was heaven, because there was nothing that you couldn't do from you open a file window, you hit Control N, file window would pop up, you start typing what you want, and either the internet showed up, or your local area network showed up, or your local drive showed up. You didn't care which. You just didn't. And so what I loved it. Apparently the DOJ did not. And a lot of people were rubbed seriously the wrong way when it came to what was going on with Microsoft. So the DOJ went after Microsoft to unbundle Microsoft, to allow for fairness and some competition. I've had really good conversations with quite a few lawyers who are schooled in the art of antitrust, far more than I'm not a lawyer. I didn't go to law school. I'm not an antitrust specialist. I'm a technologist who has spent a lot of time trying to deeply understand how to build workflow and process that makes the doing of life in a digital world easier. So the last thing on my mind generally is how to make it harder. Like, harder doesn't make any sense to me. Easier makes sense to me. So when Microsoft was forced by DOJ to unbundle itself, a bunch of things happened that were, I guess, good if you are the DOJ, or if you're someone who believes that the Chrome browser is better than what was IE, which has evolved into whatever Microsoft likes to call it today. But there's another side to this. Unbundling it required all kinds of concessions to be made technically. Security vulnerabilities were rampant. We didn't know it then. We know it now. This was not the best thing that could ever happen to us from a security standpoint. And I think it set us back from a security and workflow and process perspective for the better part of a decade. And 20 years later, 22 years later, I don't think that we were served the way the DOJ believed we would be served. I don't think that there's less competition. I don't think there's more competition. Instead of having Alta Vista as a search engine, or instead of having Netscape as a browser, you got Firefox that a few people use. Chrome, everybody seems to love. I love Chrome. I'm not a big fan of Microsoft's browser. I think they call it Edge now. I'm on a Windows machine full time. For the first time in probably 5 or 6 years, I am full time on a Windows machine. And of course, I have Chrome set as my default browser. I have no interest in whatever Microsoft is selling here. Do I use Firefox? I used to. Do I have Firefox occasionally? Yeah. Did I ever use Safari on my MacBook? Once in a while. Elliot G, DuckDuckGo. Yeah, DuckDuckGo is great. Their claim to fame, for those of you who don't know, is that you are anonymous. And you are more anonymous on DuckDuckGo than you would be if you opened up an incognito window in your browser. So that's great. Does it give you the very best search results? It gives you search results. I've done side-by-side comparisons against things that I've been working on SEO with. DuckDuckGo versus Google. DuckDuckGo doesn't always fare as well. Occasionally, Bing actually does a better job than Google, and we may talk about that in a moment. Actually, we'll talk about it right now. I wrote an article several years ago that I would love to share with you if I can quickly find it. Where did I put that article? It's called Google. I don't think that word means what you think it means. And Joey, if you would be kind enough to put the link to that article. Where did I put that? Do I have it here? I don't. I thought I did. Let's see if I can find it.
I got it.
Yeah.
I got it.
This, yeah, here it is. This article. This guy here. So, this article I wrote a while back. This is from September 2018. And what it goes on to say, and Joey put the link in the chat, so you guys will have an opportunity to read it if you'd like to. It's probably too small to see here. This is when President Trump got really, really mad and thought that Google was rigged against conservatives. And Orrin Hatch, then senator, was very upset. He wrote the Republican senator from Utah, and he wrote a letter to the FTC. He was very, very upset that Google's search and digital practices, their digital advertising practices, were somehow. And this is the part. I hope you can see this. This is the part of this that I think is the most important for us to talk about today. When I think about the currencies online, the currencies of the internet, I think about attention, consumption, passion, and intention. These are currencies. Attention is so much of a currency that, written into the grammar of the English language, we say, I'm paying attention. I'm going to spend some time. We understand this is a real currency. Hey, Carolyn Wall. Hey, Dave Sprotzy. And I always say that wrong. It's Sprosty. Never make that mistake again. Sorry, Dave. Attention is a currency, but there are others. It's not the only one. There's the attention. There's the currency of consumption. There's the currency of passion. There's the currency of intention. When I go search something on Google, I don't intend to go to Google. That's not my intention. I'm not spending my intention that way. I intend to go somewhere else. And what Google has built is an engine that translates my intention into wealth. And it does it better than anything that's ever been invented, ever. So think about that. I want a pair of shoes. I don't want to go to Google. I want to go to the people that sell the shoes. So I'm spending my currency of intention, or I could say I'm using my attention currency to, but Google is translating my intention. And the other currencies are all, by the way, translated to. Facebook's probably the best translator of attention. TikTok is giving them a run for their money right now, but TikTok knows what you're paying attention to. When I say knows, I don't mean that TikTok actually knows what you're paying attention to any more than Facebook does. There's a model that understands your birds of a feather actions. You and the people who are like you tend to like the same things. Facebook doesn't look at content. TikTok doesn't look at content. They couldn't possibly. There's too much content. They simply look at what all your buddies are doing, and that's how the algorithm is modeled. Consumption, obviously, Amazon knows your consumption patterns better than you do, and they can use any kind of predictive math they would like to translate your consumption patterns into additional wealth for Amazon shareholders. Netflix knows your passion. Of course they do. They know what you're passionate about. They know how you will, what you kind of aspire to, what you love to spend time with, because you search Netflix and then you spend time on Netflix looking for the things you want the most. And again, Google is an intention engine. That's all it is. And so what does it really, really do, right? So my whole practice is about turning data into action. Data is just a big pile of ones and zeros, and information is not knowledge. If you want to act on that information, you have to turn it into something else. You just do. So there are many ways to get that done. Google has a great way. A great way. They can follow your purchase path all the way. They can follow your absolute intention to buy. They know how serious you are. They can score your attempts and ultimately predict very accurately, are you going to look at this website 6.4 times before you buy? If it's a website that's featuring hairspray, you're going to look at it twice. If it's a car, you may look at it 50 times. If you look at it 100 times, you're not buying, you're just an enthusiast who likes to look at cars. These kinds of predictions are really easy for them to make, and they can turn these predictions into cash directly. That's what they actually do. And when I say knows you, Google knows you about the same way the cash register at Walmart knows you. And what I mean by that is a ton of data is generated when you search something on Google. An amazing amount of data. What time of day it is, how you are stroking the keys, your IP address, and if you've given them your location. They already know exactly who you are profile-wise, because if you're signed into Google, they have a wealth of information. If you are buying an additional service from Google, be it storage or Gmail or the apps inside the Google suite or any of the things that, or advertising, if you've given them a credit card, they know everything about you. And they also legally can what's known as reverse append that data with data they find from third parties like Axiom or whatever you'd find on Credit Karma. They get to look at. They get a free pass to do that as long as they've got an open credit card bill with you. So I think it's within 13 months of that. So Google knows everything, literally everything, the way the cash register at Walmart does. And what I mean by that is, unless you ask it a question, that won't be turned into any action except generating shareholder value for Google. They will use that information algorithmically to surface an ad you are most likely to click on. If they can't get you to click, then they're going to surface content that is most likely going to keep you on Google until you can actually click on an ad. That is not a search engine. That is a highly tuned, optimized advertising distribution channel. They don't have to be better at search. They don't even have to be good at search. They don't have to be marginally good at search. All they have to do is be better at search than Bing or DuckDuckGo or any place else you might want to go. They just need to be that much better. By the way, if Google was optimized to be a search engine as opposed to an advertising distribution engine, they'd be out of business, or they'd have to charge a subscription fee. There's no way they could have the infrastructure they have and be a great search engine. They can be and are an optimized advertising delivery tool set that accretes value to the shareholders of Alphabet. That's what it does. It's all it does, all it's ever going to do. So back to our story, they're going to come at Google and they're going to say, well, you guys have some untoward practices and you're monopolistic when it comes to what you've done with device manufacturers like Apple and Microsoft and Dell and whoever. And every time that somebody buys something, every time that somebody buys a device, an Android device or what have you, your search engine is the default search engine. You've paid millions of dollars for that privilege, and that's anti-competitive. So that's one thing in the complaint that we saw. And I'm not going to say that that's wrong. They have done that. They do that constantly. And I'm also not going to say that Google is a company that does no evil, which was their slogan for a very long time. What I will tell you is that this ship sailed about 20 years ago. If they were going to go after Google in a way that was meaningful, if they were going to take Google out at the knees and when they were vulnerable, it's not now. Now this is one of the top 4 or 5 most valuable companies in America. And I cannot believe for 1 second that this is going to do anything except bounce off their bulletproof vest. But I actually have to applaud the thought process, not the timing, but the thought process. I have an article that has a very long title and not a great title. And there's a picture that's an Art Deco picture in it. And the article is entitled, what is the article titled? Joey, what's the article titled? The one where we're the workers in the minds of Google. It's a really long title that I don't know why I was thinking about. I don't know what I was thinking about when I actually did it. But I did it. Oh yeah, the title is Free Search and Social, we are not here. I'll show it to you. Free search and social. We are not the product. We are underpaid workers. Some people have mentioned this social dilemma video, which I have not seen, so I cannot comment on. But when I think about this, I wrote Labor Day 2 years ago, and it's basically an article about what I was just talking about, which is that free and paid, free search, free social, it's not free. And we are not the product. People always say that. We're the product because we don't know what the product. No, we're not. We're workers in the minds of Google. And we are mining for Google and for Facebook and for Amazon the raw material that the data elite are going to turn into cash by translating those intentions of attention, intention, consumption, passion. They're going to take those currencies and they are going to translate them. They're going to use data to do it. And we are just willingly just hanging out inside of Google and Facebook and Netflix and YouTube, and we're just mining and mining and mining this data for them to use. And we don't get to use it. And in fact, even if we did get to use it, what's the marginal value of Shelly Palmer's data that I create searching? It's not that much. They're little breadcrumbs. You're going to see that I was looking for cameras. I was looking for some lights the other day. I was looking for some RAM for this Windows computer. I was contemplating the difference between various solid state drives. That's not valuable to anybody. I'm sitting there reading deeply about what antitrust lawsuits in the past have done. It's interesting, but it's not making anybody any money. But if you aggregate all of the data that all of us create, all of a sudden, great stuff starts to happen if you're Google. Great stuff starts to happen. And so while the DOJ can use the lens of antitrust to go after Google, what they're really not paying attention to, as far as I can tell, is that there's no such thing, and I'm happy to argue this with any of you or debate it, as big tech. It's like saying South America or Africa. There are lots of different countries with lots of different cultures. We use a catch-all phrase to describe the continent, but that absolutely pays no attention to what's going on. When you say big tech, what do you mean? Because Facebook doesn't use data the same way Google does, and Google doesn't use data the same way Amazon does, and Amazon doesn't use data the same way Netflix does. Not for the same purpose. They don't collect it the same way. They don't look at it the same way. And so, going after Google, are you using the lens of the 20th century and tools from the 20th century to go after a 21st century problem that you've not well defined? So, Matthew Quint, in China there is big tech. No, there are big tech companies, but the real big tech in China is the Chinese government, because they kind of have an overarching control of everything, although people will argue with me that they don't. It's relatively obvious that the government has access to more data than it should, and it's relatively obvious that the biggest tech companies share their data willingly, or because they're forced to, with the Chinese government. In America, to the best of my knowledge, you need to go to a court of competent jurisdiction. You need a writ. You have to have a subpoena to go subpoena data. You can't just say to Google, gimme. You can't just say to Amazon, gimme. You can't certainly say it to Apple or Facebook. So the government doesn't have the same kind of access. But these organizations, Matthew, the best way I can describe it, Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, Apple, all of the big tech companies, the only thing that they have in common is that they use technology and mostly they use data. And they share data, or they'll buy data, or they'll use each other's data where available. I've said this forever, and I'll continue to say it. It's a phrase that I'm very, I guess, known for, if that's a word. I don't know if that's a word. Data is more powerful in the presence of other data. The more data you have, the better off you are. Your name, it doesn't mean anything. If your name and your email address, it's cute. I can send you an email. I have your name, your phone number, your email, your address, what you bought, what you ate last night. That profile's starting to look real useful to me. So these are the kinds of things that Google has, that Facebook has, that our elected officials don't seem to be paying attention to. I don't know that they can pay attention to it, but I'm very interested in this conversation, and I would very much like to have you weigh in. You could email me, Shelly at shellypalmer.com. Come to one of our salons on Monday through Thursday, and just let me know what you think. If you've got some strong feelings about whether this is a good idea or a bad idea, the DOJ going after Google, and it's obviously a precursor to the other things they are going to start to do, then please reach out. I would love to hear what you have to say. I would really, really welcome the opportunity to get into a good Socratic debate. Yeah, Michael, I don't think our elected officials understand this at any depth. Some of the staffers do. Before the crazy started, I've been to the Hill more than once, and you talk to people down there, and the staffers get it. But it's a very complex problem, and I don't think anyone who's outside of the tech industry, if you don't really model data, if you haven't gone looking for data, and by the way, if you haven't done this personally, it's a really good exercise you can do. You should take a business problem you have and just think through all of the data sets that would help you solve your problem. Make a list. Like, what would work? Would I need, if I know names, would I need to know the propensity or how you index on a new car purchase? How you indexed on a new car purchase in January 2020 and how you index now? What's that over under? Are you employed? Are you unemployed? Like, what data sets would I need? And if I can't get individual data about an individual person, what aggregated data sets would I need? And if I had them, what would I do with them? And when you start playing that exercise in your mind, all kinds of things start to open up. You think differently about how you would go after people and what it is that you do and you don't know. Then when you say something like, for free, and it's not true, I'm just using that as a catch-all phrase. For free, Google gets your name, your address, your IP address, your credit card number, everything you do online, everything you've ever searched, everything you thought about, everything you purchased. Just by using their platform, they get all of that. And you're trying to make a business decision and you're trying to work. And like, where would you go to get that information aggregated against a target audience for something you were trying to do? And the answer is, you'd have a hard time. So that's the conversation that we should be having. Facebook has the ability to do things no other company does. Amazon can do things no other company does. Their anti-competitive practices are the least of our problems. Like Amazon, for example, is putting their products next to third-party products on the shelf. Every store does that. You walk into Walgreens, there's going to be, brand X, and next to it is Walgreens brand. That's not new. Is it good or bad? It's 30 cents cheaper. It's 50 cents cheaper. Do you want to buy the generic? So what they did is they took the generics and they put their brand on it. So like now there's generic super cheap. I don't even know if it's generic anymore. Then there's the store brand. And then there's like the brand name stuff. And you go to any retail store, you're going to see that. Amazon Basics. There's Amazon Basics everything now. I cleaned up my desk a little bit to do this. Otherwise, I would be picking up some Amazon Basics cables for you. Half the cables that are sitting on this desk are Amazon Basics cables. Are they any good? They're not. The connections are made. They're not bad. Is it the cable I would run out to buy? No. Was it 50% of the price? Oh yeah. Absolutely 50% of the price. In some cases, it was 30% of the price. Since it's an undifferentiated product, Amazon Basics sitting next to Monster Cable or whoever I would have ordinarily bought, or I don't know. It's very, very, very tough to know whether that's right or wrong, but you can definitely feel why somebody who might be in the pain and relief business, like somebody who would make Advil or Excedrin or some brand name pain medication, and then there's a generic pain medication that's an Amazon Basics. Amazon's name has as much trust associated with it as, I guess, anybody else. So are you likely to buy Amazon aspirin or an Amazon, I'm using this just as a thought starter? And the answer is you probably are. Is that good or bad? It's not good for competition. When did it get bad? DOJ is going to go after them for that. That's awesome. Amazon knows more about what I'm likely to buy next. They know so much about what I'm likely to buy next that they can predictively load up a warehouse in New Jersey with items for Shelly Palmer so that I will get them the next day when I order them. Think about that for a second. You're worried about an Amazon Basic being like an Amazon Basic battery being next to a Duracell battery and thinking that that's causing me grief. And so the world will be better if we make Amazon stop that. Amazon knows enough about how I spend my day and what I need to do and what I need to accumulate my consumption that they can cache the products across the Hudson River and get it to me the next day, so that the experience is so good, that the customer experience is so magnificent that I would not consider Walmart.com. I would not consider Staples.com. I would not consider BestBuy.com. Or my favorite store on planet Earth, B&H Photo.com. So BHPhoto.com has almost everything Amazon has, and I have an amazing relationship there. B&H, 3 days, 4 days. Amazon, because of the way I search, 1 day, half a day. I've ordered stuff in the morning, and even during COVID, had it in the package room in this apartment that afternoon. That data that allows that to happen, and these are not common items. Trust me when I tell you, this isn't like I was ordering stuff I know they have in stock. I'm not ordering shoes. I'm not ordering cups. I'm not ordering cell phone cases. I'm talking about stuff that I've been searching, and they know and can understand predictively how I'm going to search and how long I'm going to search and what's going to happen. And they elastically change the price, and you watch the price change. Sometimes it drops. Magically, a 5% coupon shows up against something that's so obscure. It's like, why would they be offering me 5 points off of this? They know I'm going to buy it, but am I going to buy it from them? And the answer is yeah. And then they get it there the next day. The data that empowers that, the government should be, if you want to look at big tech writ large, that's what you need to be looking at. Don't start talking to me about generic products or being, it's the wrong lens. It's the wrong lens, which is why I said going after Google, and that's just the precursor for Facebook and Amazon and Apple and everybody else, because they're all grouped into this idea of big tech. Going after Google, the way they're going after Google, for what they're going after Google about, it just seems like not only has what's the metaphor? The kid, don't close the barn door when the cow's out of the barn or whatever. The herd is, in another state at this point. It makes no sense to me. Makes no sense whatsoever. CES 2021. It's going to be all digital. I learned yesterday that Microsoft has teamed up with the CTA, and they are going to be producing CES 2021 as a Microsoft CTA event. Now, Microsoft Build was a really big online tech conference. Microsoft did a really nice job with that. Their creative director there at Microsoft is pretty great. And I'm pretty sure that they've got the technology to make it happen. What I'm not sure about is the timing, because it's a quarter to November and CES is just a few months away. But I'm excited to learn that Microsoft, it was announced, I think, just the other day, maybe on the 19th or the 18th, that Microsoft had won the contract to do CES 2021. We are going to do CES 2021 in a giant way. I'm very, very, very excited about it. A couple things are happening for CES this year. First, we're going to talk about our tours, which we usually walk either the convention center or what they call Tech West, which is the Venetian. And we have for years been offering tours to senior leadership teams of big corporations. And we take them from tour stop to tour stop, talking about all the amazing things that you see at every CES. And this year we're going to do exactly the same thing, but we're going to do it virtually. So we will be producing little modules that are highly focused on each of the things we find the most important for each of our clients. And then we're going to be doing a virtual event that includes an interactive, completely live Q&A. And this should be actually a better product than going on foot for two reasons. One, less noise. And two, you will not be dead tired at the end of the hour and a half or hour and 45-minute tour. The other thing that's going to be, I think, really good about it is that you'll be able to absolutely see everything up close and personal, because you can have a relationship with a camera that you cannot have when you're holding a device and there's a screaming crowd and you're pointing to the device and everybody's trying to get close to it. Here we'll be able to get up close, focused, really talk about the benefits and the consumer behavior changes. And so we're very, very excited about that. We're also going to have our Innovation Series Summit. Last year it was at the Encore Theater. We had about 1,500 people shoulder to shoulder in a magnificent theater. And we had a wonderful stage show. It was a great networking event, and we were thrilled and proud to do that, but it's not possible this year. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to build the Innovation Series Summit as a online event, and that event will use some of the techniques that we are demonstrating and working with today. It'll also use some of the techniques that you've yet to see. We're going to make this a highly interactive show that will take the very best, most interesting ideas and the things that are most pressing from a consumer technology and consumer behavior point of view, and we will put on, I think, a wonderful stage show. We're also going to have a networking event that will be modeled up to and including CES, that will be modeled on our salons. So if you've been at our salons, you'll just have more people to meet and more people to do business with. And that's the most important thing. Get some new ideas and find some people to do business with and do it in a very safe way. There's other stuff happening. Our trend report will be out there. CES is going to happen. It's mid-January. We're very excited that they've chosen a digital partner. They couldn't have chosen a better one. Microsoft's amazing. So I'm looking forward to great things. But we're also looking forward to what we're going to do at CES, because this year, it's an unusual year. It's a special year. But it doesn't mean that we shouldn't be looking forward and we shouldn't be optimistic about the things we can do. We are all of those things. Super, super, super excited. We have a few minutes left. If anybody has any questions, I see there's a whole bunch of you out there. Hi, YouTube. About 58 people on YouTube. Some of you might have questions. And anybody who's on Facebook or Twitch, happy to answer your questions and happy to take a little bit of time to do that. Before we get to that, I also want to say that there is a pretty significant breakthrough that I didn't mention today, and I think I want to do that before I take a question. This, well, what is it? It's definitely a rhinoceros. It's got some other attributes, though. It's got a bunch of other attributes. Of course, it is a rhinoceros, but it is also it's also a unicorn. So when you model AI generally for pattern recognition, and when you are trying to get an AI model to understand what you're doing, you usually have to show it a lot of pictures. This new technique that is articulated and well written about in MIT's Technology Review talks about the way that computers normally learn and the way that this new AI model has been taught. If you show a young child a picture of a rhinoceros with a horn and a picture of a horse and a picture of a bird, and they can identify them, so that may be a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old that can easily say rhinoceros, bird, horse, and you describe a unicorn to that child without showing them a picture and ask them to draw what they believe a horse that had wings and a horn on its nose, what would that be? Any child that can draw with a pack of Crayola crayons is going to give you a pretty decent representation of a horse with wings and a horn in the front, because they can make that compilation. They can do that work in their mind. They can form that mental model. This new AI training set that they've been demonstrating, you show it a couple pictures of a horse, a couple pictures of a bird, a couple pictures of a rhinoceros, and you tell it, I'm thinking about an animal that has the following features. And that's what you're going to get. So, yeah, that's a big deal. And again, it's an article you can find in MIT's Technology Review. Did Quibi actually buy it, Joey? Is that what I just saw that too? Did that just come across the wire?
It is indeed. I don't know if you can hear me, but it is indeed.
Yeah. We only have 4 minutes left, but did anybody think for 1 second that was not going to go that way? Raise your hand. No, that was, it never had any hope of working. It especially had no hope now when consumption patterns have changed so much. When our consumption patterns were what they were before the pandemic, there was absolutely no chance this was going to happen. Post-pandemic, doubly absolutely no chance no matter what ever. So I'm sorry, all of our friends at Quibi, because I don't want to see anybody out of work. And I really, look, anytime a media and entertainment company goes belly up, I think it hurts the whole industry. And I think we're all poorer for it. This was ill-conceived, Meg Whitman. This was ill-conceived in every way. Jeffrey Katzenberg, I love you. I do. I think you're an amazing guy, but this was really, really, really a bad idea from day one. It just was, and I'm not shocked and I'm not surprised. I think it's disingenuous to say R.I.P. Just R. You're done. It's like stick a fork in it. That makes all the sense in the world. Look, everybody, it's been fun to spend an hour with you today. Sorry about the audio problems in the front. Live and learn. That's the reason we do this. Every weekday, Monday through Thursday, 11:05 and 11:35, you can see us, shellypalmer.com/salons. I'd love you to join us. Tell your friends. We'd love to have you there. If you are interested, pgx.tech. Again, we can continue the conversation there. Anything you want to tell me, Shelly@shellypalmer.com. That's my email address. I actually get it. That's my inbox, Shelly@shellypalmer.com. I would very much love to hear from you. Or you can DM me at Shelly Palmer on Twitter. Whatever we're doing right, I want to know. But I'm really interested in what we're not doing right or what we could do better. Constructive criticism is the only way we learn. We are all forged in failure, I especially. And I'm doing these specifically to get better at it, and not professing to be the best at it in the world, but planning to be. So the only way we get there is getting your feedback, and I really, really hope that you will do me the honor of sending me your feedback. What can we do better? What can we do best? What are we doing okay is nice to hear too, but that's not what I'm looking for. I'm really looking for ways we can make these hours more valuable to you. And with that, I will thank you all very, very much. I really appreciate you spending just a few minutes of your time with me on this Wednesday. We'll be back next Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern with another strategy hacker live stream, and I hope to see you then. All the best. Take care.